I discovered Alec's music in early 2019, and I think I can safely say that he is the first music artist that made me fall in love with music. I quickly understood that he, objectively speaking, isn't or wasn't ever the best at anything when it came to music, but he was honestly the first musician to catch my eye. I don't know, man. Something about a high-pitched white guy telling me about how he wouldn't find Jesus in LA was just so unique to me. He was the first artist who ever made me bother listening to full albums, live performances, interviews, made me look into merch, made me listen to concerts. I cannot stress this enough, but before I found Alec, I genuinely did not care for music at all. But his ability to put compelling storytelling in a song was just different. It wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before. Alec Benjamin makes, or well, I guess used to make indie pop music, and that's what I fell in love with. It wasn't a style that I was used to hearing at the time, since, as I've said, I didn't listen to music much, so I'd only ever heard the mainstream stuff like Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, or whoever else was popular at the time, but it worked. But I think around his third album is when his music started being more generic and mainstream. The acoustic yet emotional atmosphere he got from Alec was no longer there, or at least it wasn't as prevalent, because this album was much more heavily produced and the style of the songs were much different in terms of songwriting and just how they sounded, if that makes sense. That's not necessarily a bad thing, of course. It's not like a singer is just allowed to make one genre of songs. I just wasn't sure if this style was necessarily suited for someone with his voice. In my opinion, every singer has a style that suits them. Some singers are so incredibly talented that they can sing in any style that they want and still sound amazing. And Alec had a very unique vocal tone per se. It was definitely eye-catching and pretty soothing to listen to, in my opinion. But those vocals, I'm not sure where they went. I'm gonna be for real. His high notes went from sounding like this
Too young, too young.
this.
And that we're not standing by the water fountain. Too young, too young, too young, young.
And that's not just one bad performance on a difficult song to sing. Every one of his performances after 2021 sound exactly like this. This is due to bad vocal technique. Now you could argue that it is a difficult song to sing. The song's original key is pretty high, and to make things even harder, there's high notes in it, which is a fair point, but in my opinion, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but a music artist with this big of a fan base, being within the number 300 most listened to Spotify artists, should at the very least be able to sing their own songs well. An example of Alec's bad vocal technique would be the fact that he can't do a vibrato, so instead he moves his jaw really fast. I'll show an example of this on screen. Some people might argue that it's just his unique sound or whatever, but vibrating your jaw is a horrible crutch when it comes to singing. It is a terrible tendency. It is something you should never do. It is not just a different technique. It is fake. It is bad. Now, the thing about Alec's third album is that there was much less storytelling in the songs than there was in his previous albums, and the songs no longer had an acoustic or indie vibe to it, which is fine, obviously, when done well. It's not like a music artist is only allowed to do one genre of music, but this essentially just made it so that there wasn't much that was special about Alec's music. He couldn't sing very well, and now you're going to take away his guitar and his poetry? Where does that leave us? But all is well, because Alec said in an interview with Zach saying that he was actually starting to get bored of the whole storytelling type of songs and that he was just trying something new, which I think is perfectly fine. A musician is just trying to explore and see what else he can do and what else he thinks he would have more fun doing.
Do you still view each song as a story you're telling?
You know, it's like, you can only write so many songs where you make a character and then the chorus, before the chorus go, and he said, you know, and have the chorus be, you know, it's like, so it's like, because sometimes my songs are a little bit less storytelling, but it's like, you know, trust me, like, you don't want every song to be like that because it gets boring. You know, I'll go back to that at some point, and I did on a song or two in this album, but I think that, like, these songs in this album as a whole, it tells a story, and some of these songs are a story, but...
In early 2023, Alec opened for John Mayer in an acoustic show, and despite the bad vocal technique there was, it was pretty enjoyable. It was a setting that, in my opinion, suited Alec way better. I think Alec is a fantastic performer, and I love seeing and hearing him on stage. He's someone who, in my opinion, really knows how to get the crowd going. But, as harsh as it may sound, I just don't see Alec Benjamin being the next Taylor Swift or the next Harry Styles or whoever the big pop stars even are nowadays. To me, and I think to a lot of people, what made Alec Benjamin interesting is how he didn't write about the conventional things that most pop stars used to write about in 2018. You'll notice in a lot of his older albums that the stuff he writes about aren't your classic boy meets girl or just some trash you can play at a party that just happens to have a stupidly catchy hook and is somehow called and considered music. And his lyrics certainly weren't common or boring either. You'll notice in a lot of reaction channels when they first listen to Alec Benjamin, it's always his lyrics above anything else that gets them thinking. Sure, some people were quick to admire his voice and even occasionally his looks, but I think it was very clear that above all else, what stood out about Alec Benjamin were his lyrics. But now, in October, he comes out with a single called Different Kind of Beautiful, and I cannot stress just how much of a letdown this song was. Listen to the song yourself and tell me what actually happened in the story. Okay, so he went to a bar, he saw a really cute girl, then he got really nervous because he thought the girl was really pretty, and then the girl left, and now he's helpless. Where is the brilliant songwriter in this song? Because I don't see him. Also, this is a subjective take, but the way he sang the song and put emphasis on random words was really annoying to listen to. Alec's strongest suit when it came to music was always the songwriting. He wasn't the most capable singer, and he even admitted multiple times on live streams that he kind of half-baked the process of learning the guitar and the piano as a kid, so Alec Benjamin went almost 2 years without releasing anything new before Different Kind of Beautiful came out, so for his comeback song to be this was definitely a letdown, to say the least. And Different Kind of Beautiful might not have even been half as much of a disappointment if he didn't promote it nearly as much as he did before the first announcement ever even came out. I am not sure how much control an artist has on the release date of their songs, but I am 99% sure you are just not supposed to hype up an album 10 months before the pre-release track even comes out. Sorry, before the first pre-release track even comes out. Alec even said in an interview with Zach saying that the album might come out in May. Talk about an early announcement. Anyway, that's just one of the many things that I have to complain about Alec Benjamin, but the main focus of this video is how he tried to lie about his song almost not being released and later on being almost taken down just shortly after the release. All of a sudden, he made like 6 TikToks talking about how his label wouldn't let him release his song called I Sent My Therapist to Therapy because they thought it wasn't commercially friendly, which is a really weird thing for a label to say, honestly. It's a song about mental health, and sure, it's a heavy topic, but it isn't anything new. It's not as bad as singing about something like the Holocaust or 9/11. It's not like Alec is the first person to write a song about mental health. In fact, Alec has had even heavier songs about mental health, which I know this kind of stuff happens in the industry a lot, but in this situation, it is a stone cold lie. I Sent My Therapist to Therapy's official release date announcement was in December 5, and in a TV performance on Jimmy Kimmel during November 22, he teased I Sent My Therapist to Therapy. There was a calendar that said December 8th. He could not have added such an Easter egg to an official live TV broadcast if the release date wasn't already internally approved by the company. The song finally came out after like 2 months of hyping it up. And it's okay. It's not a bad song. Definitely not worth lying to his fans and mocking their intelligence, but it is a song that people seem to have enjoyed. Anyway, I'm sure that's the last of his lies anyways, so we can all just happily move on from this situation. Yeah, so I guess his therapist is suing him now, and what does Alec Benjamin do about the situation? Make dumb TikToks using 2 of his biggest songs and act silly on camera. No person who is in the right mind, who is getting sued, would make this TikTok and go, yes, this is good. This is what I need to be doing right now. Alec Benjamin knows this isn't true, so when he gets confronted about it on a podcast, all he can do is waffle his way out of the situation because he can't admit to lying, but he also can't tell the truth because both options will hurt his career and credibility in some way.
You posted that your therapist was suing you over this song. Can you talk about that?
No, I can't. I can't talk.
But that's
about
real.
It's kind of real. It's real enough.
You can't sue someone for writing a song about you, especially if the song isn't directly about you, like it doesn't mention your name, your family, your location, or anything specific about you at all, and the word therapist isn't even used anywhere in the song apart from the hook. In my opinion, this proves that Alec Benjamin is lying to you, and he just wants for you to go and listen to his song. And he does not care that he is lying to you, and he even seems to be enjoying it. He is taking advantage of the fact that some of his fans are gullible and want to believe him. It's replies like this that is genuinely disingenuous to see from him. If you are a fan of Alec and believe this, don't. It's a lie. I think the reason why this is such a big deal to me isn't just that an artist is lying to his fans to get more streams on a song that isn't very good. No, that stuff happens all the time. I think the reason why this is such a big deal is because it's Alec Benjamin. Watch any one of Alec Benjamin's interviews at all from 2021. He used to be the most humble and down-to-earth musician who was so nice and kind to everybody. I'm not saying that he's not nice or kind to anyone anymore in real life. I obviously don't know him personally. But this is just so out of character for him. Garnering sympathy from your own listeners so you can get more streams does not sound like the shy Alec Benjamin that we were familiar with. It does not sound like the down-to-earth Alec Benjamin that we knew. It doesn't sound like Alec Benjamin. This is very disingenuous coming from anybody, and even more so coming from someone like Alec. You could of course try to make the excuse that he's just doing what his label told him to do, which I honestly don't really believe. I feel like your label just wouldn't tell you to lie to your audience on TikTok to try to get more streams. If you think that I'm being dramatic by saying that Alec is mocking his fans' intelligence, then at the very least, he's definitely taking advantage of the trust that his fans give him. There's people out there who also believe Alec is telling the truth despite the wild and almost unbelievable situation that he's in, because lying to his fans for streams just genuinely seems out of character for him. I feel bad seeing all these people play into it. They trust him, and he is taking advantage of that trust. You can see it in his Discord server, his TikTok comments, his Twitter comments. People are not enjoying this. I don't know, man. I don't really have a moral lesson of the story to tell here since I think it's kind of obvious. Don't lie to your fans about how horrible your situation is if it isn't horrible at all in any way, or don't lie about how you really don't know how you're going to overcome this, especially when in reality there is nothing to overcome. This is just a really weird hill to die on, and I don't know why he went so far with this lie. Pick Me is another song that came out earlier this year, and he was definitely less annoying about how he promoted this one, but I was too turned off by the lying to even care about this, so. He still lied, by the way, about how his label didn't want him to tour, but wanted him to make TikToks at home instead, which is like, really, dude? But my thoughts on the song, I think it's okay. I think it's definitely a song. It's better than Different Kind of Beautiful in every way imaginable, though I don't think that's a difficult thing to accomplish. If this was one of the B-sides in the album, then I'd probably like it more, but I just don't get why this was one of the pre-release tracks since it doesn't sound interesting enough to be one. And basically nothing happened in the music video, but I guess that's just my own opinion. And then there's King Size Bed, which hasn't come out yet by the time I'm writing this, but I don't like the snippets, that's all I know. I don't like how synthed it is, and I have zero faith that he can reach that live without screaming and still turning down the key a bit. To say that Alec Benjamin has become disingenuous is an understatement. I think it's obviously okay to still listen to his music and like him, but I personally have lost interest in him due to recent song quality not really being my style anymore and being too different from the style that he has familiarized us with, and you know, the lying to his audience and stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this rant. I think I forgot to put jokes in this one. I'll try to remember that for next time.